Hello guys, welcome to Business Hub. In today's class, I'm going to be teaching you how to prepare a financial model for a startup company. We are going to start this model by building the financial modeling guide. The model guide contains the details of the company you're modeling for, and it also contains the details of the model itself. So if you look at here, you will see that we have a model guide for this company, Prescott. This is the exact model we are going to be building today. So you can see we have Prescott. These are the model details. We have the company's information, Prescott Global Enterprise Limited, the purpose of the model, marketing and distribution planning, and the industry is for the industry is distribution company, and the business location is Nigeria. Then we have the model information itself. The model is built for the Prescott, and the currency of operation is Naira, and the currency modeler is this Priceless Consulting and Associates. That's the name of my consulting firm. Then we have the modeler's contract. This is our contract. We have the modeler's email. This is just a fabricated email. It's not our main email though, but we're still going to change it anyhow. Now we have the model navigation and structure. We have the cover page. We have the model guide, which is the one we are on right now. We have the historical and restructure. This is basically for existing company that you are modeling. That is where you are going to have historical data and restructuring. Then we have the model input, otherwise referred to as assumptions. Then we have the model's calculation. From the input we have the calculations. Then we have the income statement. We are going to build the balance sheet, and we are going to build the cash flow statement and DCF. Yes, we're going to also build a DCF, discounted cash flow statement, and we're going to look at a scenario analysis. Why all these things is important in a model, especially for a startup. It will help you to value the company and see where the company is heading to even before you invest your money. So that is why model is important. Now we also have the major timings. We have the model start date. We have the model forecast period. We have the model months in each period. As the model forecast period is how many years are you forecasting, which is 5 years. We have then the model months in periods for each period. We have 12 months, which is 1 year. Then we have the model style guide. These are the model style guide. The model style guide. Okay, something is wrong here. Let me expand this. Let me expand this and see the model style guide. All right, see it here. Yeah, the model style guide this will help us avoid repeating some input. Like when you come here, when you have a normal cell, you know that this normal cell, if it is a number, you want it to automatically apply this format to that number, to the numbers that are normal cells without any formatting on them. But if it is an input, we want it to be in a border. We want it to be in a border like this with a little bit shade on it. So we're going to be showing you how to do all these things as we proceed. So once we build all this, the model style guide, the reason why the model style guide is important is because it's going to make our work faster and it will look consistent with whatever we are doing. So when you are done with that, we are now going to look at how to build the input, otherwise known as the assumptions. You can look at, we are going to start with the general and macro economic concepts. We're going to look at how to build all these things and how to integrate all this in a model before we start. Then we're going to look at calculations, how to embed our assumptions, how to translate them into calculations, and how to build something wonderful like this. And we're going to look at our income statement. You can see our income statement is even dynamic. We are going to look at also the balance sheet, and at the end we are going to do a model check. When our balance sheet balance, we are going to know that our model is actually built perfectly. Then we're going to look at this cash flow statement. You can see the cash flow statement. So all these things we are going to build them, and we're going to link them up and see how it affects our model. Then we're going to look at the scenario analysis. Now this scenario analysis is going to allow us, if the scenario analysis is basically how to check what happens if certain conditions apply. Now if you look at here, we have 3 scenarios. We have best case scenario, we have base scenario, and we have worst scenario. Now in terms of inflation, where we have best scenario, we are trying to say, okay, if inflation reduce by a certain percent. If inflation reduced by a certain percent, what will happen? Now if you look at here now, you see that here we have the inflation rate. The inflation is assumed to go up by 4.5 and 4.3%. So what it means is that we are on the worst scenario. So if we change this to 1 or to 2, just look at what will happen. You can see that the scenario 2 will change. I don't know why this one did not change, but it's supposed to have changed. Only one that is affected is here. So the best scenario is now our current condition. That's what we refer to as our current condition, our normal model. That's the base scenario. That's what we're basing our assumption on. So we're going to look at how to do that. Then we're going to also look at how to do company valuation, how to value the company, and at the end of the period to decide whether this company is it viable or not. So having said that, guys, I believe you have seen everything we are going to be doing in this class, and you appreciate the fact that it's going to be a long class. It's going to be a long and massive class, and we're going to I'm trying to put in my effort to make sure you understand what a financial model is and how to build a successful and a wonderful financial model that will attract investors' attention. All right, and financial model actually help you to focus in growing your business, because you already have the business. You are now seeing the business. You're seeing the future of your business and how the business is supposed to perform. So from there you can use it as a basis for appraisal. So having said that, we will now go right into the financial model proper. Like I said, we're going to start with the model style guide. All right, for time efficiency purposes, I decided to copy out these informations from the other model so that we can just format them. As we're doing them, we format them and see. Now the first thing you're going to see is the company's name. Now the company's name, we're going to format every title. Let's say we're going to format every title to have so what you're going to do is format every title. You're going to come to your home, then you come to your sales style guide. When you come to your sales style guide, we come to this title, modify this title, click on it, modify it. So just be looking, you will see what the title will do, modify it. So when you come to the title, you're modifying it. You are saying, okay, the title should be bold. The title should be bold. The title text should be white, because we're going to fill in it with color. Now the title header should be this. Let's say something a little bit darker. This, say okay. When you do that, come back to fonts. Let's say increase the title a little bit. Let's say 24. Once you do that, you say okay. So now when you come back, you will now say apply the style guide. So you can see we have applied the style guide. Now we have the subtitle, and we're saying the subtitle should be something. Let's say we're going to create our own subtitle right now. So you can say duplicate this. When you duplicate, you now say subtitle. You format it. Say formatting, the subtitle should be, let's say 18. Yeah, it should be bold. Then it should be something of this color. To be something of this color too. But let's say a little bit more faint color. Go to more. Little bit more faint. Let's say this. Say okay. Now the beauty of it, like I said, is to allow you, we don't need the border, we don't need the color surrounding it. So let's modify this. Go back to fill color. We don't need fill color on that. Say okay. You can see this is the subtitle. Now we can come back here. This is our this is our title, sorry, this is our headers. This is our header, so we can come back here and say this is header 1 and say modify, because we want everything to look consistent. You can say modify, come back here, we say modify the field color. Yeah, our header should not have a field color, but it should have this. It should be bold, and it should be, let's say, 14, and yes, this is good. Then the color should be, we want it to look consistent, so we're going to come back to our more. We're going to come back to our more. We say we want it to look consistent with what we have. And do that, you just say OK and click OK. You apply the formatting. Yeah, we should change the borderline behind it. The borderline behind it too, we need to change it. Come to your formatting, right click on it, modify. When you do that, you will just go to your border. On your border, you select the color. Let's say we want it to be this color. Okay. When you do that, you can see that it has changed. Now this is a sub-header. This is sub-header. What we are going to do, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. You come to header 2, modify it. Let's say this one is a little bit more lighter color. You can just decide whatever suits you. So you work with that. When you go, you can say this. Something more lighter, and say this. You can also give it a border color. You can say that color is okay. When you do that, you say okay. Apply heading 2. Now the text color have not changed. Why? Because we have not changed it. So let's go ahead and modify it again. So this is what we're going to do for all the other sections, and it will help us while we are building our model to be applying, to be consistent in the application of the colors and in the application of the text. So let's go ahead and change this to, let's make it a little bit more lighter. Let's make it a little bit more lighter. So you can see that we are seeing a kind of difference in that. So you can see these are the company's so these are inputs. These are input. So what I'm going to do right now is also, okay, let's be done with the headers. Let's finish the header. So in this case now, I don't need to repeat all those processes, all those formatting I did. All I need to do is just apply the heading 2 format. Then here I can apply the heading 1 format. You can see that everything will remain consistent with each other. So you can see this is how to build a good model. This standard is applied globally anywhere you go. So that is why it is good that you should get it at first. So once you do that, it becomes easy for you, and your colors will remain consistent. All right, your colors will remain consistent, your formatting will remain consistent. So let's go ahead again and apply. So you can use alternate HG as the shortcut. You can also do this. Alt HG. This is, and this is also Alt HG. Now the glossary is gonna be heading 1, Alt HG, and this is gonna be heading 2, Alt HG, then we put heading 2. So you can see that everything remains consistent. The font size, the font style, the font color, everything remains consistent because we have applied a global standard, a standard. We set up a standard for it, and that is why you can see everything is going smoothly and everything is consistent with each other. So we are going to go ahead again to format this. These are inputs. So how is it done here? So you can see that here it is bolded and it's aligned right. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to say this should be bold, this should be bold, this should be bold. So you come to this place, see your bold, then align it left. You can see we have aligned it left. So these are input. So what do you mean by input? Input are these things you just type. So these are input. So we're going to say, okay, let's format all our input again. Come to your sales style guide. Come to your sales style. Then you come to input. Modify your input the way you want. So we say we want to modify our input. The text color should be black. The text color should be black. Though not all of them. The text color should be black. The font should be 12, or let's leave it at 11. The font should be 11. The font style should be Calibri body normal. So let's go ahead and change the border. Because it's an input, we want all our input to carry a border around it. So we're going to say, you can select the border style of your choice, select the color. In this case, we're going to select something like this, because we want everything to remain consistent, right? So when you apply the border, outline border on all of it, you can say okay. When you do that, you say okay. So when you now apply it, you can see that it will take on that. Okay, the fill color is still there. We have to modify it. The fill color is still there. We have to modify it. So what you will do is go back there, remove the fill color, or you modify it. The fill color, we can choose to leave it though. You can choose to leave it. It will also show that all these things, any text that has this color is an input. So let's go ahead and see how to modify that. So doing that, we're going to do, let's change the color a bit. Let's tune it down a bit. Let's see we're tuning it down to this. Oh, we're seeing something. Or better still, let's leave it with that color. Let's change it to this. Once you do that, you can see that the color have changed. So that is what will happen if you apply inputs to all these text. So let's say you're going to apply input to this as well. So what you're going to do is just go to your cells formatting and say input. You can see that everything carries the same color automatically. You don't need to start retyping everything one by one. So let's go ahead and do some adjustment here. So I think this should be removed. So you can see we did some adjustment. So you can see we are now coming up. These are input as well. These are inputs. These are input. How is it done here? The same format, the same way it was done. So we're going to go ahead and apply it the same way. We do this one. So bolds and outline right. Then you apply the same input style. The same input style. You can see the same input style. It is more faster right now. So what do we have here? Here we just align it left and leave it like that. So we just align it left and leave it like that. So this one as well. This one as well. I don't know why this is not coming up. Let me just do something like this. Maybe because I copied and pasted it instead of typing. Alright, so instead of typing it, I think this is why it's like this, but don't worry, we're going to clear that shortly. So you can see how our model style guide is coming up. The model style guide is coming up quickly. Let's go ahead and arrange this place. Yes, so it's going to come back. Okay, so you can see this is dates. So you can come to your home, come to your dates. You can say short dates, or better still, I prefer to be seeing the date and the month. So we can go ahead and say this, select this date style. Now this is too long, you just need a short date. You can use Ctrl+1 to get to that side and say this. Yeah, this is how I want it. This is a number and this is the month in a period. So this is what we are going to do here. And because we're going to be referring to calling up all this information again, so what we're going to do right now is to change the name of this cell to the model start date, so that we can be able to reference it later on. So you can see the reason why, it is important we do that. You can say model start dates, enter. Then you can say months in period. Just give it the name that you remember, in period. So it is actually very important we do it this way, because it's going to help us later on. So here too, we're going to change the formatting. We're going to put the input format style. See the input format style. Instead of starting all over again, we have a standard this thing that applies to all. So let's go ahead and say, okay, now we want to say that our normal cell should be exactly like this. So what we're going to do, we're going to come to our model styles guide, cell style guide again. When you come to your model style and cell style guide, you don't go to the normal. What is in that number? So let's see how to modify. You can see the numbers are formatted. So you can click on that. The numbers are formatted without decimal places. You can say, okay, because some of the numbers are formatted without decimal places, if this is an input, it will be like this, but if it is not an input, it will now change. So let's go ahead and say, okay, the numbers should be on general, the text should be aligned, whatever alignment you want. Let's leave that one for now. Let's go ahead and say, okay, the text is this and the font is 3. So we are okay with the numbers here. So let's say okay. Now let's come to our input. Now our input cells, that's input data, should be, now our input, that's the color what we apply. So our input should be this. This is how our input should look like. If it is a number, it should look like, but I'm going to do some modification on that input. So let's say if that is a number, if those input are numbers, we are going to modify the number aspect of it, or better still, we're going to leave it for another one. Let's go ahead. So let's go and say if this a linked cell, that a cell that has reference from another sheet. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, if it's a linked cell, let's modify this link. If it's a linked cell, the font the font should be this, very dark, or the font should be this, a little bit lighter, and you should have an underscore, that's border, an underscore, but this border is too thick. Let's say we want to select this all over it, we want to have something like this. If there's an input, it should be this color. But normally in global standard, hard-coded information like input usually comes as the global standard is input data are always in blue color. So input colors are always in blue color, but because we are working with a theme color here, I can decide to go with any color I want that matches what I am trying to build. But if you are building a global, if you are asked maybe in an interview what is a global, what does blue mean in a financial model or in a financial institution, you can say that blue is actually blue information. So blue data inputted in a model means that those informations are input, they are not calculations, they are just input that we are manually typed into the system. All right, so that is there. Because I'm working with a team, I want my my model should carry a kind of a look-alike theme. That is why I will go with this color. All right, so let's go ahead and say okay. When you click okay, you click. So you now apply that, you apply that input. You can see we have applied the input. So we'll go ahead and say if it's an historical data. Again, another way to differentiate historical data is to say, okay, if it's an historical data, what we're going to do is we're going to now, let's say we're going to duplicate the input, the link. I mean, we were talking about link, right? I'm going to duplicate the link. So when you duplicate the link, you now say historical data, and you say okay, format. If it's an historical data, like I said earlier, if it's an historical data, let's say all our historical data should be blue because they are definitely going to be an input. So they should be blue. There is a particular blue that is widely acceptable. There should be blue. Yes, then we have blue. Then we have the font should also be blue. Let's say this particular blue. It always stands out when you're building a model, especially the one that has to do with so the fill. You can decide to give it a fill too. Let's say the fill should be this, the fill should be this. So once you're done, you apply that as well. You apply the historical format and see you're coming up. So if it is a percentage, if that number is a percentage, what are we going to do? We're going to say, we're going to just create a percentage. Let's say we are going to duplicate these calculations and say percentage. If the number is a percentage, if it is a percentage, of course, if it is a percentage, we look for percentage. We say in 2 decimal places, and this is how it's going to look. There should not be any border. There should not be any fill color. There should not be any. It should be automatic color. There should not be anything like that. So let's just go ahead and say okay. So you can see we have removed the fonts. It doesn't matter. We have removed the border. We have removed this. So what we are interested is in this. So let's go ahead and say okay. So when you apply, when you go back to your sales, the sales style guide, the sales styles, you click percentage. It will apply that automatically. Then when it is a total sale, we're going to also go back. When it's a total sales, we have okay, let's duplicate our calculations. Duplicate this. You say total sale. When it's total, we say okay, the total, because obviously the total is going to be a number. It's going to be a number in 2 decimal places, and you should have a comma separator. Negative number should be in red. Negative number should be in red. Alignment, it doesn't matter. This one, it doesn't matter. Calculations, it should be automatic color. it should be bold, and there should be underscore. Let's say we're using this double line that represents total, so this should also be black. Say okay. Then we're going to remove nothing to remove actually, so if we're okay with that, already exists. Okay, duplicate this one and start afresh. Let's say total star 1, 2. Okay, let's go ahead. This again, automatic color. Yes, and because it's total, of course, then the upper part will be this. So let's go ahead and say the font should be this. It should be a little bit bigger, let's say 12. So once you're done with that, you can say okay. So you can go back and apply. So this is taking time because it's actually going to save us a lot of time and a lot of stress. So you can see that there's a little bit shade of gray on the total. So what we're going to do, let's modify it and remove that. So let's go back, modify, format, go to fill. So let's say no shade of gray. Let's go ahead and say okay to automatically remove that. And let's modify it again. There is no comma separator, so let's go ahead, modify. Let's come back. Let's say its number. There should be comma separator in 2 decimal places. Let's go. Negative number should be in red. I want to remain consistent, so let's go ahead and say okay. So once you do that, you can see that it has changed. Now the subtotal too, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to duplicate the total style. The only difference here is that this is subtotal. The only difference that is going to be on the bordering side. So the border, it will not carry this border, it will not carry the up border, but every other thing applies. So once you do that, you say okay. Come back to your cells style. Now say subtotal. You see, subtotal has carried it. The reason why you're seeing it looks as if the subtotal heading is not there. And again, let's say the subtotal's font size should reduce. It should not be the same with the other, with the main total. Let's go ahead and say font. Then the subtotal should, let's say, be 11 normal. So let's go ahead and say. So you can see it has reduced. Now we have what is called divisor. You may not understand what the divisor means right now, but I'm going to show you later on how we are going to apply this. It's better when we apply it so that you understand what it does. So now that we have this, we're going to we're going to also apply this one. Automatically takes the normal cells input, so we don't have much to do here. Rather than we are going to rename this cell. We're going to say divisor. Remember the name because we are going to be using it. So once you change the name, the cell's name, to divisor, we're going to be using it later. Now we have the multiple cells. Now multiple is a kind of the number that we are going to be using to identify our economic metrics. So we're going to format this as well. We're going to format it and give it so we're going to say let's duplicate this. Sorry, let's change the name to multiples. So we're going to say format is going to go with it's not going to be bold, it's a regular text. It's going to go with this, no border, no field. go. So you can see this is our multiple. No fonts, no border, no field. All this we are going to uncheck. So we can say okay. Now we're going to format it again, because like I said, it's going to be a number that we're going to use. We're going to use in identifying our economic metrics and other metrics as we're going to be using them. So we're going to format it separately for easy identification. What we're going to do here is to come back to this place, go to your number, go to your custom. So you're going to say, you're going to just say 0, then you can say SX, XX. Let's see. Okay, let's verify something here. Let's see what happens in the multiple cell here. So let's go ahead and check what happened here actually. So let's see, let's look at it again. Yeah, okay, we are right though, but just that we don't maintain the decimal points. We are right, but we do not maintain the decimal point. So let's go ahead and format it again. You can see, let's go ahead and format it. So let's go back to this place and say, okay, this is what we are looking for. So it must always be a number and in a decimal place. So the matrix should be the 1x. Alright, so I think that is it. Yes, we are okay now. That is it. So now that we are done with that, let's go ahead and also check give a style for our headers. So our heading, we have already put the title header earlier on. So the title header, we are going to say, we're going to just apply that the title header should be this, and the subtitle header, we also formatted it earlier on. This subtitle header should be, where's our subtitle, should be this. Now header 1, we have already formatted it earlier on too. We're going to say our header 1 should be this, then header 2 too should be this, header 3. Yeah, we did not format our header 3, I guess, so we're going to do that right now. So our header 3 is this, but let's format it so that we have a consistent color. It's a consistent formatting. So let's go ahead and say it has a border. The border should be something lighter. This is something lighter. Now we have the font. The font should also be something lighter. Or something lighter. So let's say we're going with this. Okay, so once you do that, you can see that the color have changed. Okay, the border have not. So let's go back and format that. Format border. The border should be something lighter. Sorry, I see that the border have actually changed now. Now we have our table headers. Our table headers should also be something, let's say something similar to our title header duplicates, just that this will not be that massive, it won't be that big. So you come to your font, you say it should be 20, and yes, it should be 20. That's all. That is all. To apply it now, apply it, because I did not change the name, right? So you're going to say the name is table header. Okay, So I'm going to apply it. Table header. The font is actually too big, so I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to reduce, let's say, the font. Sorry, the font. So I'm going to say the font should be 16. Okay. Yeah, it's okay now. Now I have calculations. All our calculations should be on. So we have calculation here already. All our calculations. Let's say we're going to modify it a little bit. All our calculations should have a field. I prefer using field for my calculations. Let's say all our calculations should have this color as field. Then they should have this dark color, and it's okay. It's okay. And because it's number. I always want it to be into decimal places, comma separators, and negative number should be in brackets, red. Okay, so when you apply the calculations now, apply this sales guide, apply it, and see this is all we have. Okay, we still have border. Anyway, but that's not a problem. So you can see that this is how we have done it, and it makes our work look more faster and neat. So you can see that this is a table header. The table header, we are now going to apply now the table header. Apply the table header on that. When you apply the table header, you can come here. This is heading 1. So this is heading 1. Apply the heading 1. So have your model control. So this is how it looks. Everything looks consistent in color, consistent in size, every other similar thing that is the same. So you have everything. So here now I want to hide all this. So you just select it and hide the cell so that you only have view of what is here. So having done that, we are going to go ahead and save this work. Make sure that you are saving as you're working. We're going to save it. Let's say we're going to save it with, let me just create a folder. Okay, let me just create a folder. Youth financial model, right? Okay, I saved it with book 1, no problem. I'll still rename it later. So that is how to build a model guide. Now with this guide, now it becomes easier for you to apply the guides, to be consistent in your modeling. In the next class, we're going to look at how to build the assumptions like this, how to build these assumptions like this.